Muy buenas tardes a todas las personas que se conectan a esta sesión informativa de Colfuturo con una de las universidades con las cuales tenemos un convenio del 100% de descuento en el valor de la matrícula. Esta es Queensland University of Technology. Mi nombre es Luisa Ayala, soy asistente del programa de Consejería Académica y Relaciones Internacionales y tendré el gusto de acompañarlos en esta sesión junto con Jennifer, quien nos contará sobre la oferta académica, requisitos de admisión, opciones de financiación y demás información relevante para quien desea estudiar un posgrado en el exterior. Importante recordar que tenemos un convenio que ofrece un descuento del 100% para 5 beneficiarios en doctorados y 3 becas del 100% para maestrías en investigación. Sin embargo, también tenemos un 25% de descuento en el valor de la matrícula para estudiantes en coursework Postgraduate Studies como maestrías, claramente. Tengan en cuenta que para acceder a este beneficio deben postularse primero al programa Crédito Beca de Colfuturo, ser seleccionados y luego pues se le informará a la universidad sobre su postulación para que ellos sean quienes analizan si les asignan el descuento. Jennifer nos contará de esto a continuación. Sin embargo, tengan en cuenta que la convocatoria abrió el pasado 9 de enero y cerrará en febrero 29. Without further ado, thank you, Jennifer, for being here today, and you may start your presentation.
Great. Hola, everyone. Buenas noches, I suppose. It's the evening for you in Colombia, and it's the morning for me in Brisbane, Australia. So my name is Jennifer Warnock, and I am the Regional Coordinator for Europe, Americas, and Africa at Queensland University of Technology in the beautiful city of Brisbane, Australia. So welcome to QUT. That's what we like to call ourselves for short. That's how everyone knows us. And I'm pleased to be kind of talking and sharing with you everything there is to know about QUT and the great city of Brisbane, and hope that it's one of your destination choices for your future studies. So we'll get started into the presentation here, but right here on the front screen, you can see an aerial view of the city campus overlooking the downtown core part of the city, as well as the botanical gardens and right along the riverfront. So it's a really beautiful location to be studying and living. So Brisbane, let's talk a little bit about what's so great about Brisbane and Australia. Brisbane is the third largest city in Australia, and Australia, as we all know, is a very, very large country. But Brisbane is particularly special because it's known for being in the Sunshine State. So we have more sunshine hours than any other state in Australia, which is wonderful. So over 280 days of sunshine every year. So if you enjoy the sun, you will enjoy being in Brisbane. We are consistently ranked very highly as one of the most global cities for students to live in. We've got a population of about 2.5 million people. So it's not too big and not too small, but it's quite spread out. So you get a bit of a sense of the downtown core is quite compacted, but then there's lots of land and places to visit, including beaches nearby. There are mountain ranges and national forests in and around the city area. We are also going to be hosting the 2032 Olympic Games, Summer Olympic Games in Brisbane. So we were all very excited. There's lots of activity and development happening in and around the city to prepare for that over the next 10 years. So that's going to be an exciting time for students as well, because a lot of the projects and things that will be happening in and around the Olympics will be part of and embedded into some of the programming that we do at the university. Sorry, I'm just trying to switch my screen, but my computer likes to be a bit fussy. Okay. So just here having a look at a map, just in case for some of you who are not overly familiar with Australia, on the left, you can see the map of Australia and where Brisbane in the big dot on the right-hand side is located halfway up the state of, or halfway up the country in the state of Queensland. You can see on the map there toward the bottom, there's Melbourne, and a little bit further up from that is Sydney and Adelaide. So we are halfway up the country on the eastern coastline. And that actually allows us to have the great weather that we have year round, where we are an active city and you can live and enjoy the landscapes and the climate all year round. But also it gives us great proximity to some of the great features of Australia, which everyone knows about, the Great Barrier Reef, and other parts of the Northern Territory, which are quite unique to the country. So it does allow you access to be able to get out and see different parts of the country quite relatively easily. So here's just a shot, a couple shots actually, of sort of the inner city. And on the left-hand side, we've got a man-made, fully functioning lagoon, sand-based lagoon that is well maintained by the city, and it's right across the river from the campus of QUT. So as you can see, a lot of people, including students and families, will use this pool to kind of cool off and relax anytime throughout the day and on the weekends. Some students will take it as an opportunity over the lunch hour to go for a quick swim, a quick dip to cool off, which is really great because it's so accessible to the campus. And on the right-hand side, just a couple of shots of the city, just to let you know that we are a very active indoor-outdoor city with lots of activities and lots of festivals and things being hosted all the time in the downtown area. Again, providing a really great atmosphere and learning environment and home environment for students. And of course, we can't talk about Australia without talking about some of the iconic landscapes and beaches, which we are known for. We've got some great surfing, we've got some great beaches, some world-class amenities and landscapes for you to take advantage of. And so just about an hour and a half outside of Brisbane, you can go to some of the Gold Coast beaches or the Sunshine Coast beaches. So some of them are just north and some of them are just south of the city. And often we will find lots of international students hanging out there during the weekends and during the holiday breaks as well. But if the beach is not really your style, don't worry. We also have a lot of parkland and bushland for those of you who like to trek and hike and explore new environments. Just outside the city of Brisbane, and even within the city of Brisbane, we've got some really good park areas where you can actually go and explore, see your native kangaroos and koala bears just out in the wild, and be able to explore some really wonderful vistas. So definitely encourage you to take some opportunity and do some exploring while you're there. So focusing a bit closer in then on QUT, here is another aerial shot of the downtown core of the city. And inside the yellow dotted box, you can see the QUT Gardens Point campus. Again, situated right along the riverfront, next to downtown, and also next to the botanical gardens. Again, making it a really beautiful campus environment. I mean, it's incredibly special to be able to have the botanical gardens right on our doorstep. So you see a lot of students spending their lunch hours and their study breaks and periods lying out on the grass under a shady tree and just taking in the beautiful landscape around them. Our proximity to the downtown core and the business hub of Brisbane makes it really great for students to have those employment connections as well. It also provides great activity for the day life and nightlife in terms of cafes and restaurants and other activities that you can do. Lots of festivals and events and concerts and so forth are all within this region. So you're really able to explore the city quite easily. You can do it a lot on foot, walking around, but you can also take ferries, buses, and trains to explore the greater part of the city as well. The other campus on the left-hand side is called Kelvin Grove campus, which is about 4 kilometers away, just on the other side of downtown. And there is a free shuttle bus that takes students back and forth between both campuses. So no matter which campus your classes will be on, you will have free access to get from one to the other every 15 minutes every day. So there's a really good transportation system that is free for students and staff, which is really great as well. So taking a look at what programs and what courses are offered at each campus, just to let you know, Gardens Point campus, again, is the one located in town, and that's because it's next to the botanical gardens. That's why it has its name. And you can see here on the right, the different programs that campus holds. So architecture and the built environment, business, design, engineering, some health programs, information technology, so IT, Law, maths, and science are mainly held on the Gardens Point campus. And Kelvin Grove, which is the one that's just north of the city. That one holds a lot of our communication and media studies, all of our creative industries, education, justice, and more of the health programs. And so what's unique about Kelvin Grove is that it sits higher up and overlooks the city from a hill. So you have a wonderful, beautiful panorama view of the city of Brisbane from up above. And then you can walk down into the village, and Kelvin Grove has a village type vibe or a village type feel of a campus where all the businesses in that area are supporting the students. And so you really kind of have that community sort of vibe, which is really wonderful. So again, a couple more shots just to let you know what the lifestyle is like on campus. QUT, as our name implies with technology, is that we like to embed technology in a lot of what we do. And technology doesn't always have to mean computer technology. It can mean technologies in everything other in other ways. For example, if you're having the technology in terms of how you incorporate design elements or how you use social media in terms of promoting a product or designing a product, or how you might use ChatGPT or other AI, or even just thinking about how in an everyday business, how you can solve problems with other kinds of with other kinds of technologies and learnings. That's what QUT is at the core of. And so we've got the world's second or third largest digital screen, interactive digital screen in one of our buildings, which is really quite phenomenal. We have really great green spaces for a lot of students to hang out throughout class, as you can see here on the upper right. We've got two beautiful campuses that kind of inspire a lot of learning. They're a very modern, mixed with old architecture. So it's got a really nice juxtaposition on the campus environment. We're really strong in how we like to embed some of our technologies and a lot of our work integrated learning policies into our classes. On the bottom right, we've got a really great esports program as well. One of the best in Australia, if not the best in Australia. Our facilities and equipment are top notch. And so even if you're not studying that and you really want to just get out and for your health or your learning or just to relax and you want to go gaming, we've got the facilities for you too. So that's just something that we are always on the innovative forefront of what industries are doing. So now looking a bit more at what QUT can offer you, we are obviously quite highly ranked in the world, and we're very proud of that. 189th university ranking through QS in 2023. So quite a proud ranking. And we really feel that what we can deliver is graduates for the future. So our tagline is the university for the real world. And what we mean by that and what we take seriously is just being able to embed the philosophy of you need to have the theory and you need to have the understanding of how things go, as most comprehensive universities would have. But also you need to be able to be graduate ready or employment ready after graduation. And that's what all the industry employers are looking for these days. They want students to be able to, or graduates to be able to hit the ground running and be able to integrate within their companies quite quickly or as quickly as possible. And so QUT takes that seriously. We consult with a lot of industry to make sure that what we're delivering in terms of an education is extremely high quality, also mixed with career preparedness in the sense of we'll give you the skills and the tools to be able to understand how you can embed what you've learned from theory into practice. And we do that through many of our work integrated learning and industry partnerships embedded into our curriculum. As I mentioned, lots of industry connections, internships, integrated learning. We do a lot of projects, so real life projects that are embedded into our coursework, which will give you that extra edge in terms of being able to understand and apply what you've learned into your everyday work environment after graduation. Again, QUT is all about innovation and entrepreneurship. It's some of our founding principles. So we are always thinking ahead, thinking what the future will look like, and taking advantage of those new technologies, seizing what we can do and understanding them better and how we can work with them to make a better future for everyone. So if you have an entrepreneurial or innovative mindset, then QUT is definitely an institution that would suit your needs. We have won Entrepreneurial University of the Year in the Asia Pacific region in 2023. Again, an accolade that we're quite proud of. So that just lets you know sort of where we're placed in terms of our thinking and our way forward. Also, it goes without saying that sustainability is at the core of what QUT does as well. Again, another form of how we embed innovation and technology in what we do, whether it's through how we provide services on campuses, but also in our teaching and learning. So another thing that QUT can do really, really well is, as I mentioned before, help you to develop your employability skills and make you more employable after graduation. This is what we mean by the university for the real world. So again, what we do is we've got great services on campus that can help you get job ready through your degree program. And so that might mean even just being able to better construct a proper CV for your industry in terms of how you can take what you've learned in class and be able to articulate it onto a CV and into an interview process so that when you graduate and start applying for jobs, you've got the skills and the training to be able to explain to a future employer why you would be the best candidate for that job. So these employability skills and services are free for students, and we highly encourage students to take advantage of them throughout their degree, but particularly in the final year or so. So yes, that's something I think that's really unique and special, and it's a free service for students. Again, I've also talked about how we like to embed work integrated learning, and this is into our curriculum. And this is, again, something that QUT is an expert at doing. We specialize in this, and that's why a lot of domestic Australian students will come to QUT as well. And the reason for that is because we do this so well. With our industry connections, we are able to take real world projects or internships or other kinds of guest speakers that will come in and teach some of the lectures from the industry so that we can really show students how what they're learning applies to the real world. And I think that's what students find a lot of value in, because again, sometimes just focusing on the theory doesn't really give you that understanding of how things translate into the real world. So this is where we excel. This is what we are known for, and this is what many students and employers are looking for. But also, in addition to studying hard and obviously working very hard on your program, we also really want to make sure that students are well supported and that students have a good time living in Brisbane and visiting QUT. So what we would often encourage students to do is really get involved in the QUT community. Join clubs, have fun with your fellow students. There are many international students around campus, over 8,000 of them at any one time. We are an institution of 50,000 students and 8,000 are international. So there is certainly plenty of people who are new to the city at any given year. But a great environment to get involved with other students and just have fun to make sure that you have that really good work-life balance, because that's a really important facet of your study experience and your living experience in Australia. So take part in the student clubs, take part in the festivals, join things that you wouldn't normally do, step outside your comfort zone, and that will really enrich your experience in Australia, but particularly in QUT. Again, we like to touch upon how QUT students have the opportunity to really thrive and survive and succeed, not thrive and survive, but thrive and succeed at QUT. And so again, we've got a lot of support services. Australia is very big on supporting the student population, both domestic and international equally. But we know that sometimes international students, especially when you're coming from a different culture, have more unique needs in the sense of your ability to adapt and to a new culture and a new learning style. So it's really important that students know that we are here for you. We want you to succeed. That is something that is really, again, core to QUT's philosophy, is making sure students succeed in their program. And so we do that through language support, medical support, counseling support, technology support. So even if you're someone who's like, well, I don't know how much I use technology every day, that kind of stuff. Obviously, we're all using our phones and our computers and things like that. But even new applications and how to apply those, we've got services on campus that can assist you with all that kind of thing to make sure that you have the best study experience that you can have. And we take mental health and well-being very seriously at QUT. So again, we provide services for students to ensure that you're getting your needs met and that you are feeling comfortable in your home environment as well as in your learning environment. So again, kind of touching upon the real world courses and the different things that we offer. You can see there on the right a list of the different kinds of fields of study or study areas that we offer throughout QUT. We are a comprehensive university, so we pretty much offer almost everything that you would need at a regular university, apart from some of the social sciences. So we don't have a lot of the social sciences and culture or language courses, but we do have we have everything from architecture and design and creative programs to health, nursing, public health, counseling, education, all the engineering types. We've got IT is an area that, and robotics and AI. We specialize well in law, science, all the core sciences, maths, and research fields abound. So just again here, looking at some of our rankings, just to kind of give you a sense of where we sit, because I know that that can be sometimes important in a decision-making factor. We have a very highly ranked university overall, as I mentioned, 189th on the QS rankings. But one thing, if you're interested in business, our business school is Triple Crown accredited, which is a fantastic accomplishment for a business school to have. We were the first university in Australia to reach that Triple Crown. And less than 1% of all business schools worldwide have that accreditation. So that's a very great and respected attribute for many business schools to achieve. So we're very proud of that. We also have other discipline rankings that are very high. If you're interested in communications and media studies, we are the top university in Australia and 15th worldwide for TV communications and media, digital communications and so forth. So we have an excellent top ranked program in that field. Nursing, highly ranked, engineering, biomedical engineering, and so forth. Again, some other fields that we do quite well in. But again, there's more to explore through our website. Taking a quick turn now, as I wrap up soon, about the QUT Culfuturo scholarships. So this is just to let you know what we can offer you in terms of through Culfuturo. So we've got 5 PhD tuition fee scholarships valued at 100%. So 100% of the tuition fee for the PhD. We've got 3 Masters of Philosophy tuition fee scholarships also at 100%. So these are our research master's degrees. Okay, and then if you're interested in a coursework master's, then we have a 25% tuition fee reduction for masters by coursework. So these are the offerings that we have for Culfuturo recipients, and we hope that that will help entice you to consider QUT because we do feel that this is a great opportunity for you to take advantage of everything that we can provide you. For some of you who might be wondering, what are some of the in-demand courses where a lot of our Culfuturo students in the past have studied? You can see here the list of programs or courses that we teach where we have excelled with Culfuturo and in the Colombian market in general. So I won't list them all there, but you can see a lot of data science and IT, engineering, project management, and business. Those are all coursework masters. And then the Masters of Philosophy and the Doctor of Philosophy are of course, research-based in a wide variety of fields. We have great accommodation on campus. I won't spend too much time on the accommodation at this moment, but if you do have questions, you can ask me afterwards. So we'll leave that one for the moment. I'll just move on. But in terms of how to apply to the university, depending on if you would like to apply directly to the university, that's fine. Or you can use one of our education agents that is partnered with QUT. And we have a section on our website where you can search for finding a representative who can help you with your application. One thing, though, that is important to know for postgraduate studies when you are applying, each of our course pages will walk you through the exact requirements that you need for each program, the important dates that you need to focus on, the fees and support and things like that. So it'll tell you the course duration, the entry requirements, and so forth. So the website is quite easy to use, and it kind of lays everything out for you step by step, which makes it much easier for students to be able to understand what they need to do and by when. One thing I will mention, though, is if you are applying for a research degree, it's important that you find a supervisor early on in the process. So you cannot submit an application strictly for a postgrad research degree directly until after you have found support from a supervisor. So the best thing to do in that case is to start contacting supervisors through our website, which you can see a lot of the find a supervisor or find a research project, and then you can take a look at what's on offer and then start making your connections and reaching out to academics. They're very used to this happening. They encourage it, and then that's how you can secure the support of one for your application. I will leave it there for now. I just wanted to leave you with a final picture of the city of Brisbane at dusk while the sun is setting, just to give you a sense of how beautiful the city is and how enriched the culture is. And I hope you choose QUT as one of your destinations for Australia. Thank you very much. And I'm here for any questions you may have.
Thank you, Jennifer, for this wonderful presentation. We have some questions in the chat, but before reading them, if anyone wants to ask Jennifer their question live, you can raise your hand and I will give you the permission to speak live. So, in the meantime, could you please give them your contact email or an address they can use?
That's a very good point. Let me just, I'm going to stop sharing my screen just in the moment, and then I can put it into the chat. Of course, my computer doesn't want to, I'll just stop sharing that. Okay, so let me just put that into the chat then. My email address, hopefully here, just typing it in. And you can reach out to me if you have questions. And for those of you who have agents or might be considering getting an agent, your agent is also welcome to contact us as well. We have some of our partners and we have regular contact with them. So I've just put my email there in the chat function so that you can have it.
Thank you, Jennifer. So we have a question from Manuela. Students can work while studying in QUT?
Yes, so as part of your student visa, students are eligible to work part-time over the duration of their semester. And so usually I think it's important to pay attention to the immigration website in terms of how many hours you are allowed to work. But in general, it's usually about 40 hours over the course of a fortnight or a 2-week period. So that would roughly be about 20 hours per week. There can be some adjustments to that. So it's important that when you get your visa, your student visa, that you pay attention to the terms of that visa and make sure that you don't exceed those hours. But many students will find employment, often in hospitality, but some of them will find employment in other ways, either throughout campus, or they might find it within the city right on the doorstep. So because of our proximity and where we are located, a lot of students do find it possible to look for employment within the city, restaurants, cafes, things like that. Some people will get other kinds of retail jobs, working in shops and things like that, or there might be even positions that you're eligible for, especially at the postgrad level, where you might be able to do something part-time throughout the campus environment, that sort of thing. So we can't guarantee that you'll find a job, but it is certainly possible to do that. We always just encourage students to think about, though, how much time they're spending while they're working and studying, because we also want you to be able to enjoy your experience living in Brisbane and take advantage of all the wonderful opportunities that there are. So,
Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, we have a question from David. Currently, I'm living in Melbourne. I'd like to know if this opportunity is only on Brisbane or if it could be on the University of Queensland Melbourne campus as well.
Okay, so the University of Queensland is a a different university. So that's one of our colleagues. They're one of our other universities in Brisbane. So Queensland University of Technology is a different university from University of Queensland. So University of Queensland is also in Brisbane, and it is just a bit down the river from us, further down the river. And they're also a wonderful university. And if they do have a Melbourne campus, you would have to talk to them. We call them UQ. So UQ is University of Queensland, and you would need to just reach out to them and find out if they allow you to study at one of the two campuses.
Thank you. Is there a master or a PhD program in economics?
Yes. So, well, if you're talking about a research master's, then yes, we do have an economics. We have business management and other business majors, marketing, international business. So economics as a standalone major may not be a standalone major, but it would have the ability for students to study economics within embedded in other parts of business. So when you go to our Masters of Philosophy or the Doctor of Philosophy, you can take a look again, how I mentioned, you need to look for supervisors. We have academics who are studying all ranges of fields. And so there will be academics who are focusing a bit more on the micro and macroeconomics and how that affects the business world. And so if you find someone who has an economics background and you're interested in the research project and or research interest that they're working on, then yes, you can apply and do something more in the economic space. If you're looking for a coursework master's, where you're just doing courses and not so much the thesis or dissertation, then we don't have a Master's of Economics named program. We have a Master's of Business, and in that business program, there will be a series of different majors, and there's about, I think, 8 to 10 of them. So you can have a look on the website to make sure if there's something that speaks to you in that field. But economics might be economics and something like that.
Perfect. We have a longer question here, and I think that if you read it yourself would be better.
Okay.
From Arbe Ferrer.
So Harvey Ferrer, okay. Just applying for a PhD, international business, good choice. Okay, so the first part of the question, the doctoral program and the PhD are the same. So if you're looking at, so PhD is a doctoral program or the Doctor of Philosophy. So in our institution, when we talk about a Doctor of Philosophy, we are basically saying you're applying for a PhD. So that hopefully answers that first question. And which one has the scholarship? Okay, so yeah, the PhD, which is also the Doctor of Philosophy. That's what the longer name means. There's 5 of those scholarships that have 100% tuition coverage. So Cofuturo will be the one to select which students are eligible for the scholarship. And it's up to Cofuturo to make that decision. But yes, there are 5 of those doctoral PhD scholarships available. And as far as a research project, again, I can't get into the nitty-gritty about what research is available out there. But again, when you visit the doctor, if you Google QUT, Doctor of Philosophy, our course page will come up for that specific program, and it'll walk you through step by step on how to reach out to academics about the different study interests or research interests that you have, and how you're able to match that up with people on our campus, our academics, who are researching something in that field, to see if there is anybody who is sharing in that research interest with you. Because it's important that you align your research areas with an academic, because obviously you need to have someone to support you and supervise you throughout the program. So the first thing that we always encourage students to do is to go to the website and take a look at the Find a Research Project or Find a Supervisor. And we'll have links on our website to show you how to do that. And then you can take a look and start browsing through all of the business school and find out what the academics are into these days. What are they researching? And then see if it can align with the area that you've talked about there. Obviously, being located in the Asia Pacific region, we do have strong connections and ties to the Asia Pacific region. It's what we thrive and live in. So I think you'll find that there will be some very good possibilities there for your research interests.
Thank you, Jennifer. We have another question from Jonathan.
Mhm.
How can I start the application with this university?
Right. Okay. So depending on, again, if you want a research master's or PhD, or you want the coursework master's, what you can do is by visiting our website, Queensland University of Technology, you can take a look at the field of interest. You haven't mentioned which field you're interested in, but again, each of our program pages are quite, each course has its own page dedicated to it, which shows the majors of the course, the application deadlines, how to start the application, what step you need to do first. So it will literally walk you through one thing at a time in the order that you need to do it, by checking your requirements and submitting an application. Some students feel quite comfortable submitting an application directly through to the university, and that's perfectly fine. Some students prefer working with an education agent to make sure that they have someone there supporting them and making sure that they don't miss any steps. They can also, an education agent, help you with your student visa, and guide you through other elements of the whole process of studying overseas. So depending on, and it's a free service for students to use an education agent. So there's no cost to you, but you do have someone guiding your journey, and also taking the brunt of all the interactions with the university. So it kind of relieves you of having to do any of that. But some students do like to apply directly themselves. So whatever you're comfortable with, that's fine. And on our website, we do have a section called Find a Representative, and that will show you under the international section where you can find an education agent within Colombia to support you. We've got some great partners in Colombia that we work with. So I'll leave that for your decision to make, but the program pages will walk you through step by step how you need to go about submitting an application, and the entry requirements and so forth.
Perfect. Laura Castillo has two questions. So the first one is, what does the scholarship with Colfuturo covers?
Yeah, good question. So it covers the tuition fee. So the 5 PhD and the 3 research masters, those are 100% of your tuition fee, your international student tuition fee for the university. So that covers just your tuition, which is a really significant portion of your study and experience in another country. Of course, you will still have your learning, your living environment. So you'll still be having to cover your costs for your accommodation, your food, your shopping, your airline tickets and things like that. And that's what the Colfuturo loan would probably be really good to support. So our scholarship is just for the tuition portion. If you are a coursework master's student and you're selected to have the 25% reduction or 25% waiver of your tuition fee. So for the coursework masters, it's not 100%, it's 25% off of your tuition amount. And so again, you're still responsible for your living arrangements and your travel to and from.
So she also wants to know, what recommendation do you have for getting a supervisor?
So what I would suggest is sometimes it's a little bit difficult for students to think about having to reach out to someone they don't know and say, hi, my name is, I want to know more about your research, or I have a background in this, but that's exactly what you need to do. You can do it over email. And when you visit our find a supervisor or find a research project, when you're wanting to contact supervisors, first, you'll be able to look on the website and it will walk you through a whole bunch of the academics, and they'll show you pictures of what they look like. There'll be their research interests, their study areas, all of those things, and a profile, essentially. Each academic will have a bio or a profile, and you can start to read over those and go, okay, this person is studying this or researching that. That's aligned with what I'm kind of interested in doing. Or maybe you're not sure, and so you want to reach out to them and ask them. And so you might have to contact them and say, hi, my name is so-and-so. I've got a bachelor of this, or a master's in this, and I'm interested in these research fields and areas. And I'm wondering, I see that you have research in this area, or that you're working on these projects, and I'm really kind of interested in that too. Can we have a discussion? Are you open to accepting new students, new research students? And then academics, I mean, this is what they live and breathe, research and working with other researchers coming up through the pipeline. So this is their bread and butter. This is what they do. They will want to respond to you either positively and say, yes, I am taking on new students, or no, I'm unable to take on new students now, but maybe you can check with my colleague who also studies in this area or researches in this area. And sometimes they might redirect you to other people. And so you just kind of do that a couple of times with different people. You don't want to just focus on just one, perhaps, unless you think it's a perfect match. But you might need to be a bit open-minded about trying to reach out to a couple different people, just because you never know, and they might have new research interests that they're working on, and their availability of how many students they can take on as well. At any given time, an academic might have already multiple students at master's or PhD level. So it just depends on how full their workload is. But that's what we recommend that you do. It feels a bit uncomfortable sometimes, but it's perfectly normal. And the academics are very, very accustomed to having students reach out to them out of the blue, or prospective students, and that's perfectly fine.
And Laura's last question is, how long does the research master's degree last?
Okay, so for Australia, the standard is 2 years. So a research master's would typically be 2 years, and a PhD can be anywhere from 3 to 4 years, just depending on how much research and your connections and how self-disciplined you are in being able to stay on track. So a research master's in Australia is 2 years long. Sometimes you can do it in a year and a half, but we recommend that you stick to the 2-year timeline, apply for the 2-year duration. And the reason for that is that would allow you to be eligible to apply for post-study work rights after graduation. So if you wanted to stay in Australia for a little bit and work, you might be able to do that. I know with Queensland Futuro, some of you will have to return home and return home quite quickly. So that's another thing. But typically, I would say a 2-year master's is quite the standard.
Perfect. Thank you, Jennifer. Could you please remind us the English requirements and which is the minimum level they need to have?
Right. So most of on our requirement pages, it'll tell you specifically, because some courses do have a higher requirement. Education, some of the health programs would require a higher level of IELTS. But for the standard would be an IELTS overall of 6.5, no bands below 6.0. That would be one of the main kind of standards for our postgraduate students. So just making sure that you keep that. And then again, each of our individual course pages will show you exactly what the entry requirements are for that particular course. So if there is a variation or a difference to that, it will itemize that for you on each of those pages. So Masters of Business, Masters of Science, Data Analytics, Masters of Robotics and AI, those types of things are all going to probably be quite standardized. It's some of the programs in education and others in health that would be higher. But I don't think health is part of the Queensland Futuro scholarship and funding. So you wouldn't have to worry too much about that unless you're into education.
Perfect. Could you give us any example of the ties with the companies when the students can work after their program? Do you have close companies working with the university?
We do. I mean, there'd be more than I could possibly list. But for an example, some of our industry connections that I talked about earlier, I'll give you 2 examples that are just as an example. So in our creative industries program, which is on the Kelvin Grove campus, the one that's north of downtown, we have a strong partnership with BMW. So there was one of the pictures on the slides that had a guy kneeling down by a car and it was a BMW car, and we've got a really unique partnership with BMW in Germany where some of their staff will come and talk with QUT. They come down. We've got an internship program and a research program where our students and our academics get to work with BMW on designing new features of some of their new cars. And then a lot of our students can go up and work within BMW as part of their program. And then obviously That's not a guaranteed job prospect after graduation, but it does allow that pipeline and that channel to be open. So we can't guarantee that you can work from BMW afterwards, but it does have that ability to have that connection on your CV if you're part of that particular program. Another example that we have a connection with is a partnership with MIT in the US, which is one of the top universities in the world. So we've got a business and MIT connection where we have a staff and sort of student exchange in the sense of not for an exchange whole semester, but kind of a project exchange and a research exchange. So that is something that's really special and quite unique and really, really valuable for a lot of students to have that connection with MIT. So yes, again, those are just some examples of some of our industry connections, but we have, I think on some of our program pages, we've got profiles where students will tell you where they've ended up getting employed. So, you know, we have lots of relationships and strengths and guest speakers from some of the big global companies that will come into QUT and do guest lectures and so forth. Yeah, so if you need more of that information, we might be able to see what we can find for you.
Perfect, thank you. What masters needs a supervisor?
Which masters do?
Yes.
So if you are applying for a research master's, meaning the Masters of Philosophy, which is a research master's, a 2-year research, that means you're going to be writing a thesis at the end of your program. So the idea of a Masters of Philosophy is that you are wanting to usually students who want to do a research master's is because they're interested in pursuing further research. They enjoy the research process, understanding how things work or what's new, solving a problem, that kind of thing, have a hypothesis and then want to be able to see it through. Some people use it as a pathway into the PhD, you know, because maybe they desire to become an academic or a researcher in their career path afterwards. So the Masters of Philosophy is our research master's degree. And within the Masters of Philosophy, you can study many different things, or you can research many different fields and disciplines. So it's kind of like a Doctor of Philosophy. It's an overarching name that has many different disciplines within it and underneath it. Whereas a master's by coursework is what we call a named master's. So Masters of Business, Masters of Robotics and AI, Masters of Data Analytics, Masters of Education. Those are all coursework masters, which because they have a full name, they're usually a specialty in that area. And even within a coursework master's, you still may have a research project. It just won't be the biggest thing that you do in that program. The biggest thing you will do is take multiple different courses over the 2 years, and you may have a significant project to contribute. Whereas a Master's of Philosophy is a full research degree. So you might take a couple courses in the first semester, and then you conduct your own research, and then you write a thesis paper that is the majority of your program, just like you would do in a PhD. I hope that kind of helps explain a little bit the difference between them.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
QUT offers a PhD related to computing or computer science.
We would most definitely have those fields. Yes. Again, QUT is quite good with our computer science. We have got an excellent computer science program, really terrific world-class facilities. So definitely anything in data analytics, computer science, robotics and AI, IT. We're very good with IT. So all of those fields would be available to you at QUT. Brisbane and Australia as a whole is looking quite a lot at IT and becoming specialists in those areas. And not becoming, they have been for a long time is what I'm trying to say. And Brisbane is becoming a bit of a hub in that area as well. And so again, our proximity and working with the industry leaders within Brisbane in the IT space and computing science space has been very valuable for us.
Okay, we have a question from Michael. If I have a master's degree in Colombia, can I go directly to the doctorate, or I have to do a master's degree in Australia first?
And sorry, so the question was, I already have a master's degree?
Yes, and
Yep.
he did it
Okay.
here in Colombia.
Okay, so to go into a PhD, you usually one of the main requirements is that you have a master's, typically by research. You would have to have a research master's in order to go into a doctorate in research, so a doctor of philosophy. So depending on your master's degree, if it was a course-based master's, it might depend on how big or how significant if you had any research ability within that master's you did to demonstrate that you know how to do research in order for you to progress to a PhD. Sometimes if it's a coursework master's, you may have had a research project, but it may not be significant enough to demonstrate that you are capable of then going on and doing original research and leading a project on your own. So then they might require students to have more of a master's by research first. So if you're not sure, if you do have a master's by research and you've already completed a thesis or written a thesis, you may then, yes, that would be the requirement by which you would need to move on to a doctor of philosophy. If you're not sure, you can always submit an application to the university or talk about it with some potential supervisors and let them know what you've done. And sometimes that might be a discussion that our admissions team would have to assess and take a look at the proportion of research that you have done in your master's to see if it will meet the requirements.
When the programs usually starts?
So if you're applying for a master's program, then they are tied to our semesters. Our semesters begin, we're having a semester starting in February, so that will be too soon for most of you to get started with. But typically our academic year begins in late February, early March, and goes until June, July. Then our second semester will start in late July and run until November. So master's courses will either be a February start or a July start. If you're a PhD applicant, then PhDs can start pretty much any month of the year. So you've got a little bit more flexibility in terms of when you do want to start. And of course, that would have to be worked out with your supervisor to find out, you know, what time would be suitable for both of you to begin your research and your studies there.
Perfect. We have a longer question here from Felipe.
Sure.
Do you want to read it?
Okay. Okay, so when you apply for Colfuturo will obviously assess you based on the requirements that we have through our agreement in terms of who gets a scholarship and who might only get a loan portion. And they will indicate that to you as the prospective student. Depending on if you've already submitted an application to the university or whether you're waiting to find out from Colfuturo first, what your outcome is in terms of your application for funding, then and then apply to QUT, because you don't need to have a firm offer at QUT. You can apply and have a conditional offer. So it depends on that. But essentially, the requirements for the International Merit Scholarship with QUT, it's the same requirement with Colfuturo. So the grading requirement is the same. So if Colfuturo has decided that your grades have not met the requirement for the 25% reduction from Colfuturo, then you probably would not be eligible for the what we call the IMS or the International Merit Scholarship, because the requirements are the same. However, yeah, I think so. So I think if you're eligible for one, then you're automatically eligible for the other. You cannot double up. You cannot double up. You either get the Colfuturo one, or you would get the one from QUT. But Colfuturo is what we're making sure that students are going through, because we want to be able to support you. They want to support you with the loan as well as a scholarship if you're eligible.
Thank you. Ivan is asking, I would like to start the application master related with business. Can you send me a contact to start the process?
So if you're speaking about a master's of business, as in coursework masters, then my recommendation is you don't need to find a supervisor. You just need to apply for the coursework masters directly. And by visiting our Masters of Business QUT course page. And then it will again walk you through step by step what you need to do, unless you would like to get an education agent to help support you and help you with the process of applying for the university. If you are thinking of a research master's in business and you want to be able to find a supervisor, yeah, then you will have to, as I mentioned before, you will need to contact supervisors through our website. And what I might be able to do is see if I can find a link, but I'll have to stop talking while I go to look for a link. But just give me 1 second while I do that. And I don't know, Louisa, if there's any other questions or if you want to wrap up and then I can look for this link.
Voy a agregar algo en español para las personas. Recuerden que para recibir algunos de estos beneficios tienen que primero participar en la convocatoria de Colfuturo, que en este momento está abierta. No tienen que tener la carta de admisión de la universidad, pueden aplicar si no la tienen. Sin embargo, cuando la tienen es cuando ya se les va, la universidad va a hacer el análisis y les asignará el descuento de acuerdo pues a su perfil, al programa en el que apliquen y pues y si corresponde pues a recibir bien sea el 100% o el 25%. Entonces, eso lo hace internamente con Futuro. Ustedes no tienen que hacer algún trámite adicional. Nosotros, para nuestros seleccionados, enviamos sus nombres a la universidad y ellos son los que eligen las personas que van a recibir el descuento. Entonces, nuevamente, no tienen que tener la carta de aceptación para aplicar a Colfuturo, pero sí la van a tener que tener para recibir formalmente, pues, el porcentaje de descuento en el valor de la matrícula. Mm, De pronto también mencionar que el valor o el descuento es en el valor de la matrícula. Sin embargo, van a tener que seguir recibiendo el apoyo de Colfuturo en cuanto a el apoyo en sostenimiento o en libros y computador o en los tiquetes de ida y regreso, digamos esos rubros que ya tenemos establecidos. Quien tal vez no ha escuchado la charla de Colfuturo, los invito a que se conecten todos los viernes de febrero a las 8 a.m. y el segundo sábado de febrero también para que puedan unirse a la charla del programa Crédito Beca. Si alguno aún no la ha escuchado, ahí se habla en detalle de lo que incluye nuestro programa Crédito Beca.
Okay, I'm just putting into the chat feature. So it's in the chat feature, a link for finding a supervisor or a research project on the QUT website. So this is for those of you who are looking for Doctor of Philosophy or Masters of Philosophy research degrees and need to find a supervisor. You can use this link to start selecting and filtering by your study interests, your area, your field, discipline, whatever you would like to call it. You could start to kind of narrow down throughout the whole university people who are in your discipline area, and then you can start to contact them. And that's how you would want to get started, by just introducing yourself, saying hello, what your background of study is, what you're interested in doing. You want to make sure that you identify with the supervisor, that you have read their bio and that you understand what they're researching, so that you can show why you are interested in working with them and or potentially exploring the possibility of working with them. And so you want to approach it kind of in that way, where you just want to say, I can see that you're studying this or researching that. I also am interested in this. This is my background. This is what I've done, where I've studied. This is how well I performed in my future past studies. Are you taking on new students in this area? You know, you just kind of have that organic conversation. There's no right or wrong way to approach it. Obviously being polite and and making sure that you are just, you know, just exploring the possibility. And that's kind of a nice way to approach that. They may want to see evidence of your background study. They might want to see what courses you've taken before to make sure that you've got the background that will work with what their program is. So there could be many different dialogues and questions that you might have back and forth with that academic. And again, don't be put off if they tell you that they don't have time or capacity at this moment. They may have capacity in another semester or another year, depending on if some of their students are going to be graduating. And don't be put off if they say, that's not really my field, but actually my colleague might know better about this. Please contact them. That's quite normal as well, as long as they're able to give you someone else to kind of pursue, or you might be able to ask if they have other recommendations of supervisors, and they might be able to put you in touch with colleagues. So that's what I would recommend for those of you interested in a research degree.
Well, Jennifer, we're running out of time, but just to
Okay.
finish, could you please give us one piece of advice for those who are planning to study at QUT?
One piece of advice. I think what I would have to say is I'm Canadian. I have worked at 3 universities in 3 different countries, Canada, New Zealand, and Australia. My advice to you is to be absolutely, if you are willing to step outside the box or step outside your comfort zone and do something unique, it can change your life for the better. It's an amazing experience to be able to live and work in another country. It opens so many doors. I think QUT is a fantastic university. I wouldn't have picked it if I didn't want to work with I only work with great universities. And so I'm very proud to represent QUT. I think it's an excellent institution in a wonderful city, in a great country. And I think it will just be an experience of a lifetime. So I highly encourage you to take the step, do what you need to do for yourself and for your family, and just live your life to the fullest. And hopefully QUT can help you open up doors for the future. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jennifer. So that concludes our webinar. We really appreciate you taking the time today. It was a pleasure to listen about QUT, and with no more to add, have a good day and a good night here in Colombia. Goodbye.
Buenas noches. Bye-bye.